This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Good afternoon, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for April 13, 2023. And in the news this afternoon, NWC institutes water restrictions in sections of St. James and Trelawney. The National Water Commission has announced it will be regulating its supply of water to some areas of St. James and Trelawney as drought conditions continue to impact its operations in these parishes. It says effective immediately, operations at the following facilities in St. James will be suspended daily between the hours of 6 p.m. and 7 a.m. The areas to be affected are Lilliput Relift, Providence Relift, Moy Hall Relift, Redding Heights Relift, Spring Gardens Relift, Unity Hall Relift, and Guava Walk Relift. In Trelawney, the following schemes will be without water on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays between the hours of 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. Florence Hall, Stonebrook Vista, and Coral Spring. The NWC is urging customers to store water for use during the period they will be without a supply. Jamaicans crossing U.S. borders illegally, making it difficult for legitimate travelers. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, has warned about the possible impact on the Jamaican passport by people using it to travel to Central American countries as part of a scheme to enter the United States illegally. In recent months, there have been several reports of Jamaicans traveling to Mexico, Panama, and Belize as part of a multinational network which moves people into the U.S. without the necessary travel documents. Addressing the knotty issue at a post-cabinet media briefing on Wednesday, Johnson-Smith underscored that not only is the trek dangerous, but it also has a negative impact on Jamaicans who want to travel to these countries legitimately. We are very concerned that Jamaicans are taking decisions to travel in circumstances that are extremely risky, and in some cases taking children with them, exposing them to dangerous situations, including kidnapping, trafficking, and even death, said Johnson-Smith. It is extremely risky for you personally, but it also affects the reputation of our passport, which we have been working hard at strengthening, added Johnson-Smith, as she noted that efforts are being made to increase the security embedded in the Jamaican passport to ensure that it cannot be replicated and that the country's border control and customs procedures are stronger. All of these things are being done to seek greater facilitation of movement with a Jamaican passport, and actions and decisions like this, traveling to Central America to enter the U.S. illegally, really do fight against the efforts of the government, and they do affect the reputation of the passport and the immigration experience of our lawful travelers, said Johnson-Smith. The Foreign Affairs Minister argued that the majority of Jamaicans who travel to Central and South America are lawful and traveling for legitimate purposes, but noted that the actions of a few make it bad for the majority. The ministry is trying to be proactive and bring to the attention of Jamaicans that this is not a good decision to take. We really want to ask Jamaicans to think, Johnson-Smith told the media briefing, as she pointed out that the Jamaican government is consulting at varying levels with its partners in Belize, Mexico, and Panama. We do not want the immigration experience of our lawful travelers to get worse. We want our people who exercise their right to travel to do so without difficulty, comfort, and with dignity, added Johnson-Smith. She noted that it is a comparatively small number of Jamaicans who are using Central America to try to enter the United States illegally, but underscored that the actions of a few could affect many. Johnson-Smith pointed to figures validated by the Passport Immigration and Censorship Agency, which show that between 2018 and March 31, 2023, just over 140 Jamaicans were refused the entry into Mexico, while 2,167 were refused the entry into Panama, and a further 81 deported. Johnson-Smith noted that PICA is yet to compile validated figures from Belize, as she pointed out that the U.S. is working with other governments to clamp down on illegal migrants. On Tuesday, the U.S., Panama, and Colombia announced that they will launch a 60-day campaign aimed at halting illegal migration through the treacherous Darien Gap which connects the North and the South American continents with Central America. Details on how the government will try to curb the flow of migrants that reached nearly 90,000 in just the first 3 months of this year through the dense, lawless jungle were not provided in the joint statement. The ambitious announcement came as the Biden administration nervously awaits the expected end of a pandemic-related rule May 11 that has suspended rights to seek asylum for many. Without that instrument of dissuasion at U.S. borders, there is concern migrant arrivals could again become unmanageable. The joint statement said the countries will also use new lawful and flexible pathways for tens of thousands of migrants and refugees as an alternative to irregular migration. According to Panama's government, more than 87,000 migrants crossed the Darien Gap in the first 3 months of this year, mostly from Venezuela, Haiti, and Ecuador. That was up from nearly 14,000 migrants during the same period a year earlier. The statement did not say how many Jamaicans are believed to have used the Darien Gap to illegally enter the U.S. Legislator wants a ban on sharing of gruesome crash scene images. Opposition member of the Joint Select Committee reviewing the Cybercrimes Act 2015, Julian Robinson, has suggested that a proposed provision dealing with intimate images be broadened to include prosecuting individuals who share gruesome image of traffic crashes. Robinson argued that the distribution of such disturbing images can be a source of anguish for not only the injured victims but their families, and the consideration should be given to addressing and stemming this practice under Jamaica's cybercrime law. Sometimes the people are dead and sometimes they're badly mangled. The images could cause great distress to the family members who would not have known that their family member was in an accident. The person is in a state in which they wouldn't want to be seen if they are still alive or by a family member, he said. The committee was deliberating on Section 9 of the bill, which addresses malicious communication, during its meeting on Wednesday. Members were examining the proposal made by the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions to redraft the section which they considered to be too broad. The committee agreed that certain aspects of the section would be amended to include the insertion of a subsection to deal with the matter of intimate images. Government member Senator Cavan Gill concurred that the matter raised by Robinson is a major area of concern that should be covered in the legislation. Whilst not captured in what would be regarded as being intimate, it would suggest in my mind that we need an area to treat with that, because that is an area that concerns have been raised by the public in terms of the unfortunate transmission of such events. Maybe if we can find a way to capture that elsewhere outside of the definition of intimate, we may want to consider it, he said. Chairman of the committee and the Minister of Science, Energy and Technology, Darrell Vaz, said he agreed wholeheartedly with the suggestion of prosecuting people who share images of traffic crashes, lamenting that such instances are becoming more and more frequent. It is very disturbing, even for people who don't have any knowledge or relationship with the deceased or the injured. I mean, to me, it's just not right. So I support Member Robinson and Member Gale that we should find somewhere to put that in to try and deter people from posting those images, he said. Vance suggested that the committee does some work on that proposal and by the committee's next meeting have suggestions as to how that aspect will be captured, whether in the existing act or to make a provision for it. I definitely think us not capturing this would be an injustice in terms of the overall report of the committee, he said. In the meantime, the ODPP, in its submission, suggested that the intimate images provision would provide that anyone who knowingly publishes, distributes, transmits, sells, makes available or advertises an intimate image of a person, knowing that person depicted in the image did not give their consent to that conduct or being reckless after, whether or not that person gave their consent, is guilty of an offense. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.